welcome, Mark.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Well, you have like a background in or experience in the California Family Court. So why don't you give us like a little bit background about yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Mark Fidelman. I entered the San Diego Family Court system about 3.5 years ago, and it's still not done.
Oh, wow. Still not done.
It's not. It's a shame.
It's a shame, right? Well, is it going to be done anytime soon, you think?
God willing. But the system, and we'll get into this.
Yeah.
The system's designed to keep you in it as long as possible after they see how much money you have.
Well, you seem to have a good amount of experience, 3 years now. So why don't you, because people don't understand the California family court system, why don't you give us, a background and tell us about it?
Yeah. Well, the family court system was designed out of the civil court system because a lot of people were getting divorced and there wasn't the courts didn't think that civil court or criminal court was the appropriate venue. So they carved out, without any congressional approval, they carved out their own little court and they called it family court, and instantly became a place where if you were getting divorced and you had a problem with the other party, that's where you would go. That's how it started. And where it's gone from there, it's gone from a good idea to a corrupt idea. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, we know that, right? Corruption here. So I know that. So why is it bad for you think? Because I know it's been 3 years and now they're taking a portion of the court and making its own little, house of decision-making process. So how are families getting hurt? How are families getting hurt and how are you getting hurt through this?
Well, the first thing that they do, and if you've been through the family court system, is they look at how much money you have. It's basically a balance sheet and an income statement. It's called the FL-150. And the attorneys are looking at that and they're just thinking to themselves, not all, but most are thinking to themselves, well, how can I carve out, 30, 50, 60% of this money and drag out the divorce and do all these motions that cost these people a lot of money? And also, how do we get them fighting? Because the more they fight, the more they litigate, and the more problems and hearings and money that those attorneys make. So the system is incentivized to make you fight, which...
So you think the attorneys and the system is more intrigued with the fights and
100%. There's no doubt.
Rather than saving, your marriage.
I have never once seen an attorney in family court try to resolve an issue between the parties. It's always trying to make it more antagonistic. It's not trying to resolve it. There are some that are like, hey, you're running out of money, or we see that you both are just tired of this, that we'll resolve it now. But it's not until one of those two things happen that they tend to back off. But these are wolves. Make no mistake about it.
Why do you think it is? Why do you think this is such a system of just money? Sounds like.
It is. If you don't know, the family courts make more money than all the other courts combined. That's a fact. You can look it up, especially here in California. So the system's been designed to tax you as a divorced couple. And to extract as much money as they can. Because you don't see poor people spending 3 or 4 years in court. Why? Because no one can afford it. The attorneys
So what you're saying is a business. Family court is a corrupt business.
If the mafia ran a court, this is what it would be.
Wow, maybe they are running it.
Who knows?
So it sounds like money is really the essence of the system. It's almost like the healthcare business, right? They give you drugs and more drugs, and then now a problem is being created, and they give you more drugs so you can allegedly alleviate that problem, and you can't alleviate it, and now they give you more drugs. It's like a system, right? Well, we're here to help you and your families, but you have to pay, or you have to pay this and this and this in order for us to help you. So it's like they're being incentivized to prolong the process for you.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good analogy. I'd say it's even worse because it impacts kids. It impacts families. It was already a contentious situation when you get divorced with somebody. Now it's become worse because these family court actors are trying to make it worse so they can make more money. Make no mistake, this system needs to go. It is the worst corrupt thing I've ever been involved with, and I've seen some very corrupt things.
So is it kind of like guilty until proven innocent? Sounds like you're trying to grasp for air rather than I'm innocent until prove me guilty.
let me back up a little bit and just say, when you approach family court, let's just say you accuse me of something in family court. Well, I'm now in a position that I have to just prove what you just said. Now, if it's hearsay, if you don't know what hearsay is, it's somebody just says it without backing it, backing it up with anything.
It's like me saying something and then.
Now, how do I disprove hearsay? Oh no, I didn't do it. And then it becomes the judge has to decide which one's more credible. The freaking judge doesn't.
You mean
know
the system is still deciding what's credible? The system that's being created.
System being the judge. The system doesn't know. The judge doesn't know if you're more credible than me. They're just looking at us in the brief moment of time that they have us and deciding, oh, well, she's wearing the color red, and he
you're being
reminds
judged,
me of an ex-boyfriend in high school. So they come in with their preconceived notions, their biases, and their fucked up training. I have to say, their training needs to change. And then they target a parent.
Well, you see, this is why you can't get your hair done and wear what you wear. You know what I mean? They're going to judge you.
Oh, I was told, not to wear any of this stuff, but it didn't matter after a while, so I just did it anyway. And I learned the system myself, and now I'm fighting back.
Well, that's why you're here to give us your, expertise and your experience, right? So people don't make the same mistakes. So why hasn't, California, the state Senate, changed the laws here? If it's pulling families apart, it seems like, we're not encouraging marriage. It seems like we are in a monetary way, but then we're discouraging it in a monetary way.
Well, first of all, to answer the first part of your question, remember, congressmen and women are attorneys for the most part. And attorneys don't want to steal from the pocket of other attorneys, especially when these attorneys have large voting blocks. So that's why it's not happening. But I absolutely hold the Congress in California and across the United States accountable for creating this mess. And they know it's happening, and they won't change it because of the money that's in the system. There's something called Title 4D, which we won't get into, but for every dollar that's paid in child support, the state collects roughly 60 cents from the federal government. So they're incentivized to make the system, make the custody arrangement unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 50-50 guy, which means 50% of the time I should have my kids, 50% my ex-spouse should have her kids. But when you make it 70-30 or 80-20 or...
well, you believe in fairness, equality, it sounds like.
In some cases, it's 100-0, which I find criminal.
That's...
Judges, unless you're in jail, judges that award that should go to jail themselves. But they are incentivized to do that because they make more child support, because child support is based on custody for the most part. So now the state makes more money by ripping your family apart and making it unbalanced.
So it sounds like because they know they're intentionally doing this.
Oh, for sure.
They're intentionally trying to break families apart.
I've interviewed many attorneys on my show. It's called Divorce Matters, and I've talked to them privately. I've got private judges and former judges that I talk to. It's all designed to be this way. Not in every case, but in most cases.
See, this kind of leads me to, why do people want to even get married? I've known people that gotten married 2-3 times. It's crazy. Yeah. And the divorce rate here is so, I don't even know, the percentage was crazy high too, right?
Remember we have this Disney view of marriage, right?
Oh, yes.
Everyone should get married.
The love story.
Yeah. I fell for it as well.
I didn't.
Not yet.
I don't think I will after hearing this.
But the truth is, it's you shouldn't get married until the system changes. You should do what's called a spiritual marriage with a civil contract, and we don't have time to go through that now. But I'm still a big believer in marriage, but not to the state.
Right.
Marry the state, you're a fool.
So you started a charity. So where can people go? Is this relating to the spiritual marriage we're talking about?
It isn't. It's called Kids Matter. If you donate to us, we help kids that don't have a voice in court, because even though there's codes that say kids should be able to talk about what's happened or their preference, most judges don't allow it, which is criminal. Again, kids should be able to express what's happening, what happened, their preference, and not through their own attorney called the guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litem is not even allowed to testify. It's just so ridiculous.
Wow.
So Kids Matter provides money to people that are going through similar things to what I've been through and thousands of other people have been through, to go for 50-50. It's also, we're using the money also to impact congressmen and women to get them to recognize, hey, this is a real problem. Your constituents are being harmed, and you need to change the laws.
I wonder, that just makes me wonder, like, how do these congressmen deal with their own divorce issues?
Well, that's what we're targeting. It's like, okay, you've been through a divorce, or, for example, Nathan Fletcher. In
Is
San
it
Diego,
different for them than different for us people
I don't
to go
think
through a
so.
divorce?
Look
I mean,
at all the celebrities
it
going through it.
shouldn't be. I'm saying
Look at all the celebrities
it shouldn't be. But is
Yeah.
it different because
Look at
they make
Brad
the
Pitt.
laws? They're like the lawmaker. Is it different for them?
No,
They don't.
They get into the very same corrupt system they created, and then these actors, they have judicial immunity. Judges, you can't sue them.
Well, that's the issue. It's like I feel like the lawmakers do make the laws, but they don't really hold themselves accountable like they hold other people. So that's
Well, they know how
right.
to get out of it. They know how to wiggle their way out of it. So, but not in family court. In family court, I've seen celebrities, I've seen former judges, I've seen the system wants to get you, they'll get you, and there's nothing you can really do about it. I mean, they claim there's remedies. I've appealed a ton of things. I've also made complaints to the Judicial Council. These people are corrupt. When you look at if any other place on earth had this many complaints and you only dealt with 4% of them, I mean, what does that tell you?
So
That's what the Judicial Council record is. They only deal with 4% of all the complaints that were submitted.
So that tells me, like, do you think they pick and choose and they go, like, the system somehow is in favor for someone that has more money, like
They're policing their own. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like you have more money, so we're going to come after you more. But if, let's say they created the system where people that go to family courts don't have money at all.
basically,
And it's like a public service thing.
they don't have any. There's no public attorneys available for any citizen in California. It's the one court that civil as well, but you don't get any representation, and yet you can go to jail. You can lose your kids, but you're not provided a public attorney. Not that I'd want one anyway, because they'd probably have 1,000 cases, and yours would just be another checkbox. But there's nothing to help you if you don't have the money. Let's say one person's got money and the other doesn't. You're screwed.
Yep, that's
These
what it sounds
attorneys-
like.
These attorneys know how to manipulate the system, and even when they're acting outside the judicial code of ethics, nobody does anything about it. So that's what they do. They continue to be bad actors.
Even the attorneys, right? That's what happens. Like,
The
not helping.
attorneys are the
They're
problem.
not like trying to help you get out. They're not trying to save you and your family.
They don't. No, they want to extract money, and if you don't have money, screw you.
On to the next.
Dump you.
On to the next, right?
That's exactly right.
Well, I mean, any final words on this,
Yeah.
Mark? You want to get your divorce
I want
finalized?
you to help me get this changed at the congressional level. If it were me, I'd eliminate family courts. I'd move it from an adversarial system to something that's more like therapists and counselors.
Or like a
working with the
mediation,
families.
maybe like
Yeah.
a family mediation kind of,
Yeah, or hold judges to a box that they cannot color outside of. Their discretion is bullshit. Most of these judges come from criminal court or civil court. They're not even trained properly, and they're not good. They don't know how to tell, which party's telling the truth because they have no knowledge of the parties. We should either do jury trials, or we should put the judges in a box, very, very narrow box. We should eliminate it altogether and go to more of a therapeutic model.
Yeah, family therapeutic court,
Better than
family
what's out there.
Spiritual
How
court.
about the current system, the corrupt system that it is right now, tears families apart, makes everything worse. There's people that commit suicide, go bankrupt. What kind of system is that? Who designed this? Anyway?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. No one really knows the feelings behind it. What families go through behind closed doors. They don't know the emotions. Some people are better at expressing it. Some people aren't better at expressing it, right? So what if you just happen to have money and not express your emotions, but then you
You get screwed.
get screwed, and then the other party has 100% of your kids, when in fact you should be taking care of the kids because you're a better parent.
And I go back to the kids should have a say. And actually, I go back to judges are no arbiters of truth, and they themselves shouldn't be deciding on the rest of your life or your kid's life. Not one person. No way. It's a travesty.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you're dealing with that, Mark.
It is what it is, but somehow I think I've been called to kind of go through this and then
I've been called to
Use
fight
my
the
voice.
system.
use my voice and use whatever resources I have to change it. So that's what I'm doing.
We'll make it happen. We're all proud of you, Mark. Fight the system.
Fight the corrupt system.
Fight
I'm
the
not a
corrupt
fight the system.
system.
I'm a believer in a system, but let's
Yes.
make it fair.
We're believers of a fair system, right? Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.